Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning App for April 10th, 2024. This is a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics in general, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. This is Kilo 1, Delta Bravo Charlie, K1 DBC, and my name is Doron, D-O-R-O-N. I am this evening's net control. I'm just battling a couple of technical issues. Give me a moment here. Okay, sorry about that. Last week, we spoke about, let me see here, end-fed half-waves balance, fox hunting follow-ups, mobile antenna positions, mount positions, grounding J-poles, and some other more fox hunt information. So really do appreciate everyone who was able to participate in that. So we'll be taking your comments, questions, check-ins, and further this evening. We meet every Wednesday except the third Wednesday of the month, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time on 145.490 and 448.625. Both have a negative offset. You can contact us at elmer@w0tx.org. and most social media at Denver Radio Club. That's to include youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. If you'd like to see additional scenes behind the scenes of the net or visual context, that is another way to participate in the net. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? All check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. That is the first letter after the number in the call sign. If you can, please try to use ITU phonetics for your call sign and indicate if you have any traffic questions as you check in. You can also follow along with the check-in process, w0tx.org/check-in. With that, we'll take call suffixes beginning with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike. Please check in now.
Whiskey Zero Alpha Whiskey Sierra, Albert in Westminster, and no traffic. Over.
Kilo Mike 4, Tango, Johnston and Highlands Ranch, no traffic.
November 1, Golf Uniform Mike, Peter, Littleton.
Kilo 5, Alpha Fox Oscar, Ben in Aurora, no traffic.
All right, Net Control, I'd like to welcome knowledge of phone check-ins. I think there was a double in there. We'll try to get back to you here in just a second. We had W0AWS Albert, KM4CFT Jonathan, N1GUM Peter, and K5AFO Ben. Thank you all so much for checking in. If you did try to check in and I didn't call your call sign, please try once more.
Kilo 0, Lima Alpha India, K0 LEI, Larry in Lakewood.
This is Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo, Ken in Lakewood, no traffic.
W0TX, repeater.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. That time we had K0 LAI Larry and KE0 Alpha Bravo Ken. Thank you both for checking in. All right, once more, if your suffix begins with letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Golf 0, Lima, Foxtrot Romeo, Chance in Aurora, no traffic.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India, Ron in Lakewood, no traffic.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. WG0LFR Chance and KF0FPI Ron. Thank you both for checking in. We'll now move down the alphabet. Second group, if your call suffix begins with the letters N through Z, November through Zulu, let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, N through Z, please call now.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Nevada Papa Sierra, Paul and Littleton, no traffic.
Kilo Delta 0, Uniform Kilo Romeo, Brandy in Arvada.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. We'll hold up there for just a moment. I did hear, I think, what was some APRS packets coming in, so not sure if that's intentional or not, but we got that time. N0TRP Jim, KF0NPS Paul, and KD0UKR Brandy. Thank you all so much for checking in here. Another call, if your call suffix begins with letters N through Z, November through Zulu, please call down.
Kilo Echo 0, Sierra Uniform Mike.
All right, in that time we had KE0SUM Jonathan. I think there's some noise in the background there, but I got you checked in there. This is K1 DBC Net Control. We'll take all call signs, all call suffixes. If you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Learning Net just for the count, or if you have any traffic or questions, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, as a reminder, this is around an hour-long meeting, just a general Q&A about ham radio STEM topics. We're here to talk about your projects, any questions you might have, traffic you might want to bring up. We'll take check-ins throughout the net. I didn't see anybody indicated they had any traffic just yet, but I'll throw it back out to the group. Any other check-ins for the moment, please call now. Okay, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Nothing heard just at the moment. I'll throw it out to the group. If anybody does have any other comments or questions, or does have comments or questions, or anything you'd like to bring up, follow up from last week or previous weeks, anything you'd like to speak about, we have plenty of time here. So this is a K1 DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group. Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net, please call now.
Traffic, KM4 CFT.
Yeah, KM4 CFT, Jonathan, the net is yours. Go ahead.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks to Rome for hosting the net as usual. I actually just finished testing just field tested a transceiver I've been building, dubbed the CFT1, the CW Field Transceiver version 1, and I'm going to let it drop. And I found that it had two pretty major bugs. One was firmware related and one was hardware related. I just fixed them. And yeah, the transmitter I just got built this week. It works great. The two issues I had is one, my AGC was set a little bit too aggressive, so it kept on killing all my received audio. And then my other thing I had was that on my keyer I had a delay between when it goes from transmit to receive. There's a 10 millisecond delay. And that 10 millisecond delay is because of the fact that I have key shaping. You don't want a CW tone to go from full power to drop to like 0 instantly. Otherwise, you'll create a giant click on the band, and it increases the bandwidth. It's bad for cleanliness of the bands. So you add a 10 millisecond delay and have a little decay shape with it. And if you read on the QCX by Hans Summers, his manual explains why you do that. And yeah, I used Arduino and I put a delay function, and that was a no-no, and so I had to do a non-blocking delay, and that fixed it. But yeah, so I'm going to bring it out to the field probably tomorrow and test it again, and hopefully we'll have a working transceiver and I can move on to beta testing prototype.
Excellent. Sounds good there, CFT. Jonathan, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Thanks for the follow-up again there on the CFT1 transceiver. I may have missed it. Did you mention it's a QRP transceiver? Go ahead.
It is indeed QRP. Right now I have it configured for 20 meters, but I plan on designing it to be a 5-band transceiver, 40, 30, 20, 17, and 15. It has adjustable output power, but I set it to be about 4.5 watts on 12 volts and 5.5 watts on 13.8 because it uses a Class D amplifier, and that means it's only 60% efficient, give or take. And that means that for every watt of power I'm putting out, there's a little less than a watt of heat being spat out. And then when that final transistor gets hot, it can cause thermal runaway issues. So you want to keep that thing cool.
All right. Well, glad to hear the update there, Jonathan. CAN4 CFT, yeah, great project you're working on there. Really do appreciate the continued updates on those. Anyone have any questions on that project? There, go right ahead.
W0TX repeater.
Were you running full power then? KE0 SUM.
I was sort of running full power. I had it was about 13.4, 13.3 when I was running it because I had a Bioenno battery and it wasn't exactly fully charged.
All right, good question there. Anyone else on that? I'm trying to bring up the QCX magazine to see that explanation there. But anyone else, go right ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, I do appreciate that. Anyone else on that? If you've done any kit building yourself or transceiver building, or if you have any questions on that, this would be a great time to ask it. Please call now.
I've got a question, Drone. KE0 SUM.
Yeah, SUM, go ahead.
I was hoping somebody listening might know. There are a number of vertical antennas, like I think it's the Comet 250 HD. It's a vertical antenna, about 23 feet. You can put it on a mast, but it's got 3 little ones coming out of the bottom, but it requires no radials. Now, I researched it a little, and they said it is actually not a vertical. It's vertical end-fed half-wave with a balun at the bottom. So I wondered if that's how they got away with no vertical or no radials or not. I'm not clear on some antennas don't require radials, and that's interesting to me. KE0SUM, back to net.
Good question there, Jonathan. This is K1 DBC Net Control.
CIV here.
Oh, I doubled over you there, CIV. WD0 CIV, go ahead.
Yeah, that particular antenna he's talking about is only good for 200 watts of power. It does 80, I think 80 through 6. So it's a good multi-band antenna. And as far as putting radios on it, whether you're 6 feet off the ground or whether you're on the ground, I've had other people that have built tons of vertical antennas, and they say, we don't care what the manufacturer says, the more radios you have on the ground, the better. Anyway, I haven't, my other vertical, the old one I had radios coming off of the roof. So anyway, they actually do work. They'll cause your vertical to be directional, and you'll have to think about that a minute. Anyway, this is WD0CIV. Charles in Denver, just checking in and trying to answer any questions. We're going to turn it back over to Net Control. Take her over.
KM4CFT.
Thanks there, CIV, for the follow-up. KM4 CFT, go ahead.
KM4CFT. Probably should be noted that whenever you're dealing with radios and or counterpoises or any of that, there are plenty of antennas that do not, quote-unquote, require them. Like, for example, the end-fed half-waves that I sell do not require them, and I don't use them. However, when you do have a radial or a counterpoise, it definitely helps. That's if you look at a lot of them, it can have a major effect with it. But whenever I use like my end-fed half-wave, I get away with it by having 25 feet of coax, and the shield of the coax one's my counterpoise. And with that, if you're using that as a permanent setup, you probably want to have some kind of choke near the combo choke before your transceiver, so that the RF doesn't end up back in your shack. Back to net.
All right, thanks for the follow-up on that, Jonathan, KM4CFT. This is a K1 DBC Net Control. Appreciate the follow-ups there, Jonathan, and this is K1 DBC Net Control. I am blanking on here. I think I may have missed the check-in here. This is a K1 DBC Net Control. KE0SUM, any other questions on that? Go right ahead.
Well, as long as people are listening, I'll say one thing. I talked to another ham radio friend, very experienced about putting a vertical up on the top of the roof, and it doesn't matter what vertical. Then we talked about radials, and he said, you know what you can do? And he said, well, take 3 long pieces of wire and do a spiral wrap on the top of your roof. So, like, make 3 spirals, like walking in a concentric circle. But he said you can actually use that as a counterpoise. And I thought that was the most original idea I'd heard in a long time. KE0SUM, back to now.
Comment KM4CFT.
All right, Jonathan, SUM, appreciate the follow-up again. And then KM Force. I did, Charles, I got you checked in, WD0CIV, sorry about that. CFT, Jonathan, go ahead.
This is KM4, CFT. I guess, since you've mentioned the spiral thing, I will say probably the most optimal, if you had unlimited money and you could do whatever you wanted, then a solid piece of metal, like a solid huge like plate of sheet metal across it would be the best, because as we know, the whole point of the radios and the counterpoise is to form a ground plane, and so the reason why we typically use radios is because that it tends to get us plenty of coverage. It's a good compromise between amount of wire you need and that. But you could also do a spiral, and that would work too. It's just you're trying to get a ground wire that is covering a large surface area.
Comment, SUM.
All right, thanks again for the follow-up there, CFT. SUM, Jonathan, the net is yours.
Well, this has got me thinking, because in the last year or so, a lot of YouTubes on ham radio about putting down a magic carpet, IDA, or i.e. a metal screen or a Faraday cloth, and then you set your tripod or put your antenna on it and it grounds, and this eliminates all the radios. And apparently there's a lot of success to this, but I'm wondering if that would work on the roof also. I just popped into my mind, so I thought I'd mention it. Back to net.
Common knowledge and
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control.
W0TX repeater.
Yes, good follow-up there, Jonathan, SUM. Yeah, as we talked about, about last year, it seems like that using a Windows screen is a conventional, are using a Windows screen for improving the signal strength. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that? Go ahead.
LAI.
Yeah, K0 LAI. Larry, go ahead.
So on the magic carpet, do you hook that up to the ground of your radio or your antenna, like a counterpoise or something, or you just set up your vertical on top of it on the tripod?
Well, Larry, I've seen him do it both ways. I would think you'd want to ground it from your antenna to make it work the best, but it's an interesting prospect because so many people have pretty good luck with it.
Comment KM4 CFT.
Yeah, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Looking at one of the videos here of that, it looks like it is grounded from the antenna to the that mesh screen there. KM4 CFT, go ahead.
This is KM4 CFT. I was just going to say, yeah, you want to have the Faraday cloth electrically connected to your wherever your counterpoise or radios would go.
I think the interesting thing is I have the Chameleon MPass 2 set up, so I could drive the stake down into the ground through the Faraday cloth. It'll put a hole in it, but that should achieve the ground plane, so that eliminates setting up a tripod, but I could set up a tripod.
LAI.
All right, appreciate everyone's follow-up there. K0 LAI, go ahead.
Well, that looks like a pretty good setup. Oh, this K0 LAI. I forgot to ID my station. I'm also using my oldest radio because My other one is shut down since my the wind blew down my 40-foot antenna mast, and I had to disassemble it. So, but I'm working on this old one. This is using the Arrow J-pole antenna. Anyway, so that's pretty cool, watching that video that you have there on YouTube right now, and that's really cool the way they set that up. It's amazing. This is K0LEI back to net.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, yeah, I'm looking at a YouTube video by KB9VBR, a window screen antenna ground network. So you're just run-of-the-mill Windows screen, and then a cable with an allocator clip going from the antenna to the screen itself. So fairly simple setup, but it sounds like it, for convenience sake, it works maybe a little bit better than, for convenience at least, without having to set up all the ground wires, radials. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that, please call now.
Yeah, Ron, another YouTuber, guy out of Texas, BBR or something. He set it up inside his living room, and it worked from there.
All right, sounds good there, Jonathan, SUM. I think there was a double in there. Anyone else was trying to call in, go right ahead.
This is KM4 CFT. I also wanted to point out that Alan Wokey, W2AEW, he has a YouTube channel as well. Definitely recommend people check it out for if you want to learn about like a lot of technical stuff. I believe he did a video comparing the performance between between like using the Windows screen at different bands and seeing that versus conventional radios, and he shows the performance using Whisper. If you wanted to check that out.
Perfect. Thanks there, Jonathan, KM4 CFT. Yep, look in the YouTube channel by W2AEW now. The ham radio quickie, number 375, ground radial wires versus the Magic Carpet Faraday cloth. So this is a pretty good, probably a comparison video, and from a really good technical perspective. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. That's another good video to check out too. Anyone else on that? Please call now.
UKR.
Yeah, Brandy, KD0, UKR, the net is yours.
Well, I was just thinking that if the window screen setup worked inside the one gentleman's house, then it would probably also work on the roof, as Jonathan was asking. And then I also just had the thought that the whole thing with the window screens and the Faraday cloth just brings me back to the whole cookie sheet idea. It seems like it's the same thing as the cookie sheet for a mag mount, only on a larger scale.
Good evening. The time is 8 p.m.
Any comment?
UKR, very good. This is an antenna that has passed me by, the cookie sheet antenna. I've not... This has not been brought up before, I don't think. Maybe it's under a different name, but this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'm trying to check it out now, but I think Jonathan SUM had something. Go right ahead.
Well, Randy, I think the difference here is that the Faraday cloth or the metal window screen works so well at HF. Because I don't know the metal plate would work for HF, but yeah, this is instead of putting out all these different radials, which we play with a lot, and started the conversation was why can an antenna have no radials? But no, it's a good question, but I think the metal plate's more for VHF.
UKR, KD0 UKR. Yeah, I certainly don't think a cookie sheet is a good idea for HF use, but as we're providing a ground plane, and I just saw that parallel, that correlation. If you could find a really large cookie sheet, Jonathan, I bet that might work for you on your roof.
Well, now you can do HF from your house, say with a ham stick and a mag mount, and you could put that on a cookie sheet. I don't know how close I'd want it if I was running many watts, but yeah, you can certainly run an HF antenna in the house with a mag mount or a tripod mount with some radials. Antennas are interesting subject to talk about.
All right, great questions and follow-up. Really do appreciate that. Anyone else on that? I can try to read off what the cookie sheet antenna is. But anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now.
I'm at KM4 CFT.
Yeah, Jonathan, KM4 CFT. Go ahead.
I don't think that the cookie sheet antenna is like a specific project name. I didn't think it was something Ingenuity. I've heard about that technique since I was a newbie ham back a decade ago. It was a common technique. If you have if you wanted a cheap VHF UHF antenna set up, a very common method is just take a cookie sheet or some kind of sheet tray that's magnetic, and just take a mobile mag mount and slap it on there, and then place it on your balcony or on your windowsill, and you're pretty much good. And I've done similar things before. It's a really simple way of setting up an antenna.
All right, gotcha. This is K1 DBC Net Control. All right. Yeah, it looks like if you're not able to, it looks like it's just a good setup for antenna placement. If you can't use that mag mount on metal itself, it looks like it's a pretty good thing as well. Let's see. I'm drop here for a moment. Yeah. So really do appreciate that. Any other comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now.
This is Alpha Fox Zero Echo Alex Bromfield checking in.
All right, Alpha Fox Zero Echo Alex. I got you checked in. Thank you so much. I guess I'll take this opportunity to take check-ins. Let me drop here for a moment. If you're just tuning in, this is the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. Great place to learn about ham radio, STEM topics, and we have a lot of experience and expertise. So STEM, STEAM, any projects you're working on, ham radio or whatever you'd like to talk about, we're taking all comments, all check-ins, all suffixes, all call signs. If you'd like to check in, let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Not sure if I doubled over anybody. But if you would like to check into the Denver Radio Club, we have another 25 or so minutes. The Learning Net here. Please let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Another 25 so minutes. I can certainly bring up some articles or anything. But anybody else, any of the comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net, please call now.
November 0, Echo Yankee Zoo is Jim.
late check-in with a question.
All right, N0EYZ, Jim, with the question, and that is yours. Go ahead.
My vertical is mounted in a side yard with which is long and narrow, so my radials go that way too. How much influence is the direction of your radials determine your radiation pattern?
Good question there. This is K1DBC Net Control. Directionality of vertical antenna radials. Does it matter how you set it up? Does it affect the pattern? If anyone has any comments on that, go right ahead. Please go now.
Comment KM4 CFT.
Yeah, Jonathan, KM4 CFT. Go ahead.
This is KM4 CFT. Honestly, it really depends on how many radials you have. If you have like one or two, then it will have an effect. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head how it does it. If it points it perpendicular or away, or if you have like a single counterpoise, it does have an effect, and it'll point it in a specific direction. And I've been told that if I want my, if I'm operating the field and use a counterpoise, that I can set the counterpoise in a certain direction to get my RF to go in a certain direction. I don't remember which way that was, but if you have two, then I would guess it would might be broadside or like sideways. But as you add more and more, it becomes less and less of an issue. If you're doing three or more, I'm going to say it probably doesn't have that much. As it might change their takeoff angle slightly, but that would be stuff that you would want to test in like a software, like for EasyNet or 4NEC2 or something like that.
I've got about 800 feet of copper wire, and I put it down in my front yard before they laid new sod, and it really doesn't affect it very much, it doesn't seem. I've worked all states, worked all continents, so I just wondered if there was any way to figure it out, but I guess I'm using one of those DX Engineer radial plates around my vertical, and they're going out as best as I can in all directions. So, thanks. I just wondered. I don't know.
Yeah, there are two ways to really check. The first way, if you want to be super technical, you could use antenna modeling software and try to make a model of that, and it will show you exactly what the radiation pattern would look like. And then if you don't want to do that, or don't know how to use antenna modeling software, the other way is maybe just doing a test using a whisper and just seeing how that is. But that would take into account also propagation conditions. But just doing a whisper thing like over a long period of time would probably get you a general idea of the radiation pattern, or if there's any spots that your antenna might not be radiating towards. But that's about all I can think of.
Oh well, it works. I'm going to leave it alone. EYZ, thanks for the information or opinions or whatever. Thanks. Bravo.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yes, this often reminds me of a maypole from Wicker Man. But this is K1DBC Net Control. I think there was somebody else trying to get in there. Go right ahead.
Yeah, this is Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo. Height also changes the antenna pattern. your quarter wave, half wave, and full wave will change the radiation pattern on takeoff of the radio waves there too. So that's something to think about too when you put an antenna up.
Oh, you guys said I got a 9-band vertical. It's 26 feet tall and it's mounted on the ground. And the radio seemed to help with the reception, but I don't know about the radiation pattern. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, I guess.
It sounds like you have it up in the air. Like I say, the higher you get, the better the radiation pattern is. But anyway, this is Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo back to net.
W0TX repeater.
It's mounted on the ground and all my radials are under the ground or under the side. EYZ.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on the subject of HF radials for vertical antenna and how they need to be placed and how it can affect radiation patterns? Anyone else on that? Go right ahead.
Been up 20 years and it's working, I guess, so I'll leave it alone. EYZ.
Good call. Yep. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you have pretty good reports, signal reports, and you're getting out there, I think setup probably works pretty well for you. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. We have another 15 minutes or so. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Good topics, questions here so far. Anyone else? We have another 15 minutes. Comments, questions, check-ins, please call now. All right, one more call. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I certainly can bring some things up. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, please call now, though. All right, this is K1 DBC. I can bring up some things and we can throw it back to the net here, but let me see here. Let me drop for a moment. All right, some quick club business. Our roundtable has been released at w0tx.org for more information on that. And we also have our April meeting up on there. April 17th, it will be by Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, on kit building. So more information on our website, w0tx.org. What else here? This is K1 DBC Net Control. I can certainly bring up some things, but anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's Learning Net? Please call now. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Let's see, I guess talking about CW, we were talking about that a little earlier, and as well as W2AEW. Article written here, how much bandwidth does CW really occupy? Written by Dan Maloney on March 30th. Amateur radio license exams typically have a question about the bandwidths taken up by various modulation types. The concept behind the question is pretty obvious. As guardians of the spectrum, operators really should know how much space each emission type occupies, As a result, the budding ham is left knowing that CW, continuous wave signals, take up a mere 150 hertz of precious bandwidth. But is that really the case? And what does the bandwidth of a CW signal even mean anyway? To understand that, we turn to Alan, W2AEW, his in-depth look at CW bandwidth. First one needs to see that CW signals are a bit special. To send Morse code, the transmitter is not generating a tone for the dits and das and modulating a carrier wave. Rather, the naked carrier is just being turned on and off by the operator using the transmitter's key. The audio tone you hear results from mixing the carrier wave with the output of a separate oscillator in the receiver to create a beat frequency in the audio range. Let me drop for a moment. Last two paragraphs here. That seems to suggest that CW signals occupy zero bandwidth, since no information is modulated onto the carrier. But as Alan explains, the action of keying the transmitter imposes a low-frequency square wave on the carrier. So the occupied bandwidth of the signal depends on how fast the operator is sending, as well as the RF rise and fall time. His demonstration starts with a signal generator modulating a 14 MHz RF signal with a simple square wave at 50% duty cycle. By controlling the keying frequency, he mimics different code speeds from 15 to 40 words per minute, and his fancy scope measures the occupied bandwidth at each speed. He's also able to change the rise and fall time of the square wave, which turns out to have huge effect on bandwidth. The faster the rise fall, the larger the bandwidth. Last paragraph, it's a surprising result given the stock 150 hertz answer on the license exam. In fact, none of the scenarios Alan tested came close to that canonical figure. It's another great example of the subtle but important details of radio that Alan specializes in explaining.
Entirely realistic. Most of the time it's going to have some shape to it, but this is how the generator...
KM4 CFT, the net is yours.
Yeah, that whole thing about the rise and fall time affecting the occupied bandwidth, that was exactly what I was referring to with that key click thing. Typically, a lot of the cheaper CW transceivers will just simply turn on or turn off or just enable or disable the amplifier, and that creates a very fast, you can't create an infinitely fast rise time, that's just not possible, but a really fast one, so it creates a click. And then if you look on it, the way you can tell if that's happening is you'll hear it if you're nearby in frequency. Especially happens with stronger amplifiers. You'll hear like a thumping sound from nearby, and so optimally, what you do is you would shape that the envelope of the key so that you're not creating as much as quick of a transient. So actually, the best shape of that would be what's called a raised cosine, which is what the QRP Labs QMX and I'm guessing some of the nicer radios also probably do it that way. But the things like the QCX and my radio use a RC integrator. It's basically a PNP transistor, a capacitor, and another resistor, and that creates a RC time constant that causes it to rise. There is a little bit of a point to it at certain points, so it does create a teeny bit of a click, a little more bandwidth, but it's not as bad as just me turning it on and off. And with the setup that I've got, it's about 5 milliseconds, which is a lot more than what Alan showed in his. So the bandwidth is pretty much minimized that way.
All right there, Jonathan, KM4 CFT. Thanks for the explanation. Can't say I understand it exactly at the moment, but thank you so much for explaining that a little bit. So really do appreciate that, and really cool some engineering there. Really do appreciate that. Anyone else on that? Please call now. Hey Dan, catch checked in here.
Dorn, if you want, I'd recommend if you go to the QCX Mini assembly manual and go to page 94. There's a good there's a document on the key shaping circuit and why we do that.
W0TX repeater.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, I got a check-in online, NA5DW. Dan got you checked in. Thank you so much for that. And KM4CFT, Jonathan, I do have that manual brought up for key shaping circuit. If you want to go ahead on that, or I can just read off a little bit on that, go right ahead.
You're probably better at reading this than I am, but that's basically the circuit that I used. And if you read on, it should explain that. I'll find the other page that shows the shape, that shows the envelope, and it makes more sense when you look at it that way. Actually, it's the page afterwards that shows a picture of what I'm referring to.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I'll have to bring this back up again here in a minute. This is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. We also had Lewis checking in online, KB2 QLQ got you checked in. Thank you so much for checking in there. From Florida, I really appreciate that. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Pretty good explanations here. If you look at the QRP Labs mini QCX mini transceiver, there's some pretty good information, some technical information on here that could help explain that. So anyone else on that, please call in. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, great conversations, good discussions here so far. Really do appreciate everyone checking in and participating. We have another 10 minutes or so. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far you'd like to bring up for this evening's Learning Net? Please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? I can bring up another story or so, but anything else so far, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Let me see what else I can bring up, but I'll throw it back out to the net. Anyone else so far? Another 5 minutes or so. Comments, questions, check-ins, please call now. Let's see. This is Daron, K1 DBC Net Control. We haven't gone to this blog here in a while, but rtl-sdr.com. Article on the top of the blog here. Latest talks from the Society of Amateur Radio Astronomers, Sarah, have recently uploaded from their Western Conference that was held in April 2024. Talks typically involve small home-based radio astronomy setups that use small satellite or Wi-Fi dishes, or software-defined radios as similar-priced SDRs in their setup. Some of the talks include a novice guide to radio astronomy by Nathan Butts. So if you just want to get a good understanding of what radio astronomy is, this should be a pretty good talk here. What radio versus visual astronomy? Why radio versus visual? Why do radio astronomy at all? How to get started? And some of the good basics. So pretty good talk here. Half a dozen more, quite high level, but detecting cosmic rays and building your own version of the Large Hadron Collider by Dr. Andrew Thornett. Also by him, Lickfield Radio Observatory, mapping Milky Way at 142.050 megahertz. Bruce Randall, IBT Eclipse and radio astronomy failures. Felicia Lynn, mapping the Milky Way by cross-section data. Kent Britton, antennas for radio astronomy. Charles Osborne, eclipse detection using a VLF receiver. Rob Lucas, eclipse research. Dr. Wolfgang Herman, lunar occultation, observation of radio sources, and keynote speak by Dr. Lindsay King, gravitational lensing. So we now have more tools in our use to be citizen scientists, now more than ever. So some pretty cool stuff there. So check out their YouTube, Society of Amateur Radio Astronomers. All right, just a few more minutes here. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else? Please call now. All right, let me see if I can bring up anything else. But anyone else so far? Comments, questions, check-ins, please call now. All right, let's see if I can bring anything else up here. But we'll be closing out the net here in about 5 minutes or so. So I'll throw it out to the group. Second to last call. Any last-minute questions, comments, check-ins, please call now. All right. This is K1 DBC Net Control. What else? So yeah, hopefully some of you may have gotten to experience the solar eclipse that happened over the last week. It was partial for us here in Colorado, in the Denver metro area, but still partially nonetheless. So yeah, really cool stuff there. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, please call now. I guess on that, over on the ARRL.org website /news, they have an article titled Ham Radio's Many Roles During Solar Eclipse. Let's see, a little bit of a lengthy article here, but spectacular display and gathering. Millions will gather along the path of totality, where the sun is fully blocked by the moon. Ham radio will be there. Operators will participate in scientific experiments, serve local communities that will be overrun with hundreds of thousands of visitors, and provide a valuable tool for communicating if the mobile phone networks become overloaded. Some of the science introduced here. Pardon me. Regular sun and moon watchers will be out in force, while many scientists, astronomers, and amateur radio operators will be working the eclipse. ARL has partnered with Ham Radio Science Citizen Investigation, HAMSI, and NASA Citizen Science Project to encourage hams to send and receive signals to one another before, during, and after the eclipse. It's led by Nathan Frissell, W2NAF, professor of physics and engineering at the University of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Participants will share their radio data to catalog how the sudden loss of sunlight during totality affects the radio signals. All are welcome. NASA plans to point a large telescope to the eclipse and broadcast the entire event across North America. Also, the Super Dual Auroral Radar Network, SuperDARN, a collection of radars located at sites around the world will bounce radio waves off of the ionosphere and analyze the returning signals. They will reveal changes in the ionosphere's density, temperature, and location. Let's see a couple more things on that. There's also Radio Jove, which is made up of a team of citizen scientists dedicated to documenting radio signals from space, especially from Jupiter. During the eclipse, they will focus on the sun using radio antenna kits they set up themselves. Let's see, MCOM, let me see.
W0TX repeater.
Yeah, Aries Group's National Weather Service helped with some of the coordinations and things like that, as other events, things like that. Outreach, many groups are holding eclipse festivals. Suffolk County Radio Club will be participating in the Solar Eclipse QSO party. So yeah, pretty good information on that. So yeah, anyone else on that or anything else, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. We're just nearing the end of it, this learning net here. But anyone else, comments, questions, check-ins, last minute, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, w0tx.org for more information on our club. We had 18 check-ins this evening. Really do appreciate that. A new check-in by KB2 QLQ Lewis, checking in online from Florida. Really do appreciate that. NA5DW Clifford from Idaho Springs. Good to hear you in there. And glad to hear everyone in there that's been able to check in here recently. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. This will be the last call for last-minute check-ins. Any last-minute check-ins for this net, please call now. All right, hearing none, it's a pleasure as always. Again, w0tx.org for more information on our club, / check-in as well for spreadsheet for check-ins. Again, we had a total of 22 check-ins. Really do appreciate everyone who's able to, 18 check-ins. Appreciate everyone who's able to participate this evening. Let me go back to the script here. So just as a reminder, next week is the third Wednesday of the month, so we will not have a Learning Net, but instead we'll be having an Elmers session online as well as our meeting. So if you do enjoy these kind of conversations, this Learning Net, the Elmers session is another way to participate. So that's at 6 p.m. online, and then the main program is at 7 p.m. Everyone is welcome to that. Also, if you do enjoy this, please join our Discord server with w0tx.org / Discord. A lot of great lively conversations in there about ham radio and other club members. So that goes throughout the week as well. With that, I will start to shut down things, the net here. Oh, last minute check-in. We got Gabe, KE6BAL, checking in online. Appreciate that. All right, I got you checked in there just on the wire. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, also youtube.com / Denver Radio Club. If you've missed this net or other nets and meetings, you can also chat online if you're not in front of your radio. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. We'd like to thank the club for allowing us to use their repeaters. Again, next week, 6 p.m. online for an Elmer session, and then our meeting about kit building by Joe Eisenberg. With that, this is K1 DBC 7-3. I am clear. Everyone have a good evening. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me here on the YouTube. And just close things out here. Let me see.